The Detroit Lions seem to have a lot of interest in the cornerback position during the 2024 draft process. Last season, Brad Holmes attempted to address the biggest weakness on the team at that time by adding Cam Sutton, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and Emmanuel Mosley during the free agency period. And clearly, none of them really worked out. And Mosley is the only one that is coming back this season. But again, this season, Brad Holmes got busy during free agency, adding Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson to the roster, both of whom really have some high upside and potential to really help this Detroit Lions team win in 2024. But there's still one missing piece to this DB room, and that is the surefire number one cornerback that is going to be sticking around for the long term, the long haul, the 4 or 5 year guy that is going to make a staple at shutting down any opposing receiver that he decides to line up against. And that's what we're talking about today. Where is that individual going to come from? Is it going to come from the draft? Is it going to come from free agency again next season? Is it going to come from the trade deadline or post 53-man cuts? At the Combine, Brad got busy again. And during the Combine process, each team is allowed 45 formal meetings with the players that get invited to the Combine. And this is where Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell met with Utah safety Sion Vaki, Wake Forest safety Malik Mustafa, Alabama cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry, Toledo cornerback Quinion Mitchell. And then you have what is considered the Lions local day, which just happened this week. The Lions met with cornerback Kalen Jervin, Kansas, quarterback Chris McDonald, defensive back Josh DeBerry, Texas A&M, defensive back Mike Sainristil, University of Michigan, safety Jordan Anderson, UCLA, and safety Reggie Pearson, Oklahoma. And now you move on to the top 30 visits. Who have the Lions been meeting with now that those two processes are over? And who have they met with in between? I think it's starting to paint us a pretty big picture that the Lions are interested in adding a DB to this roster. So far, the Lions' top 30 visits have included, again, Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback Quantez Stiggers, who has absolutely exploded onto the scene, another CFL story making his way to the NFL. The other Alabama cornerback, Terrion Arnold, has also met with the Lions this week, and of course, that's what this video is all about. But they've also met with Andrew Phillips, Enos Rakestraw, Kalen Carson, Nia Haima Pritchett, and again, Sion Vaki. So with that said, it is very clear that each and every day, the Lions are looking to add another cornerback to this roster or some sort of a DB to this roster. It could be just a safety. But we also know Brad Holmes loves him some Alabama football, and I think that's why we're in such a unique position right now with where we're picking and where some of these players are going to line up, and just who might fall to the Lions is the biggest question. With that said, it is clear, at least to me, clear as day, that the Lions are looking to add a very talented defensive back to this roster, and potentially very early in this draft. And we know that Brad Holmes loves him some Alabama football. I mean, it's also very clear. He's drafted Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Brian Branch in each of the last two drafts. Now, the Lions did have a formal meeting with Kool-Aid McKinstry at the NFL Combine. They also backed that up by, attending the Alabama Pro Day before having Kool-Aid back in for a top 30 visit. And now they're showing even more interest in his teammate, Terrion Arnold, and brought Arnold in this week for a top 30 visit. So they've met with Kool-Aid twice. They've met with Arnold once so far. Now, the other head scratcher is Arnold is supposed to be taken somewhere in the top 15 draft picks in this draft in the first round. And that's by all accounts. Pretty much every analyst, every big board, every mock draft has Terrion Arnold as high as the 15th overall pick. And I say high because he's not expected to slip past the top 15th pick. Now, including my own mock drafts, I don't believe I've ever had Arnold past the 15th or 17th pick. Now, Dane Brugler released his annual The Beast Draft Bible, where he had this to say about Terrion Arnold. He said, overall, Arnold offers an ideal blend of cover athleticism and competitive makeup, with the ball skills to make plays at every level of the field. He is scheme versatile and has the talent to work inside or outside. He can be an NFL team's number one cornerback, offering a skill set similar to that of the Chicago Bears' Jalen Johnson. It's exactly what the Detroit Lions need, is a Jalen Johnson clone. Now, the Lions, like I said, they currently have the 29th overall pick in the first round, which means that Arnold is going to require a major move up the board. If they really want to have any shot at all to land the top prospect in the draft, Arnold is not expected to slip. So they're going to have to move up. He will not be there at pick 29. Crazier things have happened, but this would be a shocker, a complete shocker if Arnold slipped down to 29. The simple fact that the Lions are using a top 30 visit on Arnold could mean that in recent days, the Lions may have the framework already built out and a trade potentially in place to move up the draft and select Terrion Arnold. I would be surprised if Brad Holmes hasn't already had conversations. Now, what would that look like? In my opinion, I think that it would be a first-round pick swap. 29 for a pick somewhere between 12 and 17. A 2025 third and a 2026 third, I think, would be the minimum if you're looking at future draft capital. It could also be a first-round pick swap for a pick between 12 and 17 and a 2025 or a 2026 second-round pick, which honestly seems more likely to happen. I think that whoever is trading out of pick 12 to 17 is going to want something pretty decent in return. Now, it's not a top 5 pick. It's not a top 10 pick. So it's kind of that third tier where the Lions are definitely going to have to give up something. The question is just how much. There could also be a sweetener added to the deal. Maybe if they use, later round draft capital, like a third round pick, and a later year, like 25 or 26, potentially the Lions could be giving up a 5th or a 6th round pick in this year's draft to help sweeten the pot. Lastly, this could also be a multitude of pick swaps where the Lions are trying to move up and maybe somebody else is trying to move up where, the Lions have another pick that they want. So it could be multiple pick swaps. It could be just a couple of picks that are trading hands. But at either rate, I see the Lions giving up no less than a number 2, no less than a second round and potentially up to 2 third-round picks just to move up 10, 12, 15 spots. Now let's take a look at the Alabama product, Terrion Arnold. Let's look at his stats and see what we can find out here. So Terrion Arnold obviously has great size. He runs a 4.5 40. He's 21 years old, just turned 21, so pretty young. He's 6 foot, weighs 189. He's got smaller hands, 8 and 7/8, and decently sized arms, 31 and 5/8. 40 is average. Vertical is pretty solid, 37 inches. Broad, again, really solid. Looks like he's over 10 feet, 10 foot 9, somewhere in that range, 10 foot 2. His 10-yard split, excellent at 154. 3-cone shuttle off the charts, 6.65. In my opinion, he's got average or above average athleticism and measurables, but he does kind of make up for it in his explosiveness with the broad and the 3-cone, which is exactly what you're looking for out of a corner. Overall rating is an 88.7 out of 100. Of course, this is by way of draftbuzz.com or NFLdraftbuzz.com. QB rating when targeted, 58.6 is elite. That is absolutely what you are looking for to join this Lions team. And, Alabama goes up against phenomenal talent. They usually have a pretty tough schedule every year. Tackling is great, 81%. Run defense is excellent, 96%. The guy is a coverage dog, 90%. Man press, again, really solid, 88%. Overall offensive rating, 81%. I feel like that's a little bit low. I'm not real sure why it's that low. Projected as a mid-first round. Again, he will be off the board, in my opinion, by pick 15. If the Lions want this guy, they're really going to have to jump up. His comparisons, Devon Witherspoon, Trent McDuffie, Julius Brents, all 3 very good comparisons. Now, according to the draft bio of NFL Draft Buzz, Terrion Arnold played in 9 games, 549 snaps at corner. His season included 35 tackles, 8 assists, 7 stops, 7 pass breakups, and 1 interception, and a QB rating when targeted of 82.5 in 2022. In 2023, he obviously had a huge jump in production. He increased his playing time to 13 games, 780 snaps. His performance also improved, 47 tackles, 13 assists, 21 stops, 12 pass breakups, and 5 interceptions. Obviously, elite production in his last season at Alabama and an elite quarterback rating when targeted of 52.5. So, look, this is not a secret. The Lions are looking to do something here. I don't think that they're going to waste top 30 visits on guys that they know they're not going to be able to get. There has to be a reason for it. I also believe that, the Lions will absolutely have a shot at Kool-Aid McKinstry. It's possible he could be off the board by 26, which I would still like to see the Lions move up at least a few spots if they can. But McKinstry dropping to the 29th pick overall is a possibility. It definitely seems like a lock that the Lions are looking to draft at least one of these Alabama corners in the first round and continue their love of these Alabama players. I mean, That's who Brad Holmes loves. That's where he spends his time. This may change in the coming weeks. It may not, but there's going to be a lot more information coming out about these guys and a lot more for us to digest and dig into. But the Lions are definitely in need of a true number one star corner, someone that can grow with this team for the next 4 to 5 seasons and be a staple, locking down either the right or the left side. When that happens, our defensive line will be able to get to the quarterback a lot quicker and more often. So that's it for this episode of Terrion Arnold. Will the Lions move up or will they not? We'll find out in 2 short weeks. But also, don't forget to join the pre-draft party live right here on Rockhound Detroit Lions on your channel, the Rockhound Podcast Network. We are giving away 4, that's right, 4, not 2, 4 jerseys on the pre-draft party, which is April 24th, starts at 6 p.m. You can visit the link in the description of this video to figure out how you can, enter more than just showing up. It's always free to enter, but there are ways to earn additional entries to win one of these jerseys. Look, links in the description. Check it out. Be there. Join the party. It's going to be a great 4-hour event. We're going to be going over all of the draft picks for the Detroit Lions prior to the big night on Thursday. So that's it for today.